Welcome back to another episode of City Boys. This week we will be covering the loss to Vancouver yet again. As always, I am Jacob, one of your hosts. I am joined by two of my best friends. Go ahead, boys, let them know who you are.
What's up, everyone? I am still in the corner. It's your boy, Ethan Thornton, in the house, ready to talk about another St. Louis City game.
Hey y'all, I'm Grayson. This week I didn't get to watch the match because I was in the movies. I was seeing a horror movie called Long Legs. Oh my God, it was so good. And then got out the movie, turned my phone back on, and was devastated. Movie started at 1-1, by the way. So I was very optimistic. Very optimistic.
Yep, similar afternoon for me. I was unable to watch the game as well. Did get to see the highlights, but I was completely out of cell service where I was at. So getting back into cell service, seeing that we for lack of a better term, got our ass beat was really unfortunate for us. So why don't you take us into our lineups, Grayson?
Indeed, guys. This is a classic 4-2-3-1 setup for St. Louis City. Roman Berkey in the sticks in the goal for us. Back line, we got Thomas Totland on the right, Josh Yarrow and Tim Parker as our two center backs there. Jay Reed on the left back position, cementing that starting spot. We got Blom and Durkin in the midfield pairing. Johnny Klein out on the right wing. Edward Leuven in the 10 position. Indiana Vasilev on the left wing. And Thorson up top. Let's see. Do we have any? We did have some subs today.
All five subs, including a halftime sub this game, guys. That's something with that I feel like we rarely see from St. Louis City, but it was a well-deserved one.
Let's see. We made our first substitution at halftime. Akil Watts came on for Jabulo Blom. Then 70th minute, Josh Yarrow comes off for Big Sam Adeniran. Jose Kahima comes on for Edward Leuven in the 77th. And then a pair of changes in the 93rd minute. Looks like Caden Glover came on for Johnny Klein and Michael Wenzel came on for Noki Thorson. I did have a question for those who watched the game. Did you notice a change in formation when Akil Watts came on the pitch for Blom, or did Akil play that double pivot midfield role?
Yep, what I saw was Akil Watts joining Chris Durkin in the number 6 role in that center defensive mid role, and he actually played a really good game in my opinion. Well, I say really good given the result. He played better than Blom did. We'll get into the recap, but not a bad lineup from St. Louis City, but the performance was just tragic.
Yeah, it just seemed to me that Vancouver's just light years ahead of us in almost every aspect. Rewatching the highlights afterwards, they look like they've been definitely been playing together for quite a while. Their team chemistry is there. The passing game, their offense is just free flowing at the moment. And yeah, so obviously Vancouver's at a very high flying moment in their season, and St. Louis is quite the opposite. So 4-1 seemed like a pretty correct result on the night. Should we get into our goal breakdowns? What do you guys think?
Before we do,
Yeah.
I want to just kind of recap where this puts St. Louis City in the big picture. And after this result, we currently sit 13th in the Western Conference. Abysmal. The first time this season we have found ourselves behind our little brother, Sporting Kansas City. We are currently sitting on 23 points, guys. We have, or 22 points, excuse me. We have played more games than we have points this season. Terrible stuff from St. Louis City this year. We're 8 points off a playoff position. And in the Supporters Shield, we are in 27th position, only above the Philadelphia Union and San Jose Earthquakes. Gentlemen, it's looking like a stinker.
Indeed.
Yeah, I mean, we joked about it a little bit earlier this week in our group chat, but definitely not where any of us saw us being at this point in the season. I know we were all hoping for a top five finish, and right now we're just going to be lucky if we get close to making playoffs, if we squeak into playoffs. So, yeah, we just St. Louis has gone down this skid that doesn't seem to end. Like, sure, we beat San Jose, but that honestly was just like a speed bump on the way down this terrible spiral we've been going through. So, yeah, did not see us 13th place ever.
Yeah, I didn't see that coming even with a crystal ball. With that being said, though, Jacob, you want to kick us off with the recap of the game?
Yeah, I think this might be the brightest of the 30 minutes. So glad to be the one to talk about it. We start with the first goal in the 9th minute, blunder by Njabala Blum. He passes the ball directly backwards and it finds the feet of Ryan Gauld, who has had St. Louis's number all season. Gauld takes on two defenders, pulling both Parker and Yarrow out of position, allowing space for Brian White to get an easy layoff pass from Gauld, who takes one touch into the bottom left corner, directly under Berkey's arm. Nothing he could really do about it, and we start the game off losing again. We jump to the 27th minute. Edu, he has a quick set piece out to Thomas Totland. Totland takes a touch, lofts it to the back post. He finds none other than Novki Thorson, who doesn't take a touch. He half volleys it. It hits the back of the defender. He was able to collect the rebound, shoot it again. Gets a little lucky that it bounces off the goalie's foot and in. By the angles that I saw, his second attempt, if the goalie's foot wasn't there, to me, it looked like it was hitting post and going back out. So very grateful that it went in the back of the net. But that was us being tied 1-1. And that's right where Grayson went into a movie theater. And Ethan, you want to tell us what happened in the next 30?
Well, not really, Jacob, but seeing as we are recapping the St. Louis City game, I think I will. Not long after that, Vancouver cut us up with a vintage looking Arsenal move, just some really nice one touch flick passing through the air. Fortunately, the son of the worst U.S. men's national team coach got on the end of it and could not finish that move for us. Extremely fortunate from St. Louis City. But only 5 minutes later, Roman Berkey is called into action and makes a really incredible save to his right side in the 35th minute. After that, things start going down. Once again, we concede a goal right before the end of the first half. This time from Brian White off a service that gets initially saved by Roman Berkey. Fafa Picol finds himself on the end trying to head it into the back of the net. Good save from Berkey. Doesn't get cleared out. And of course, it finds the feet of the man that cannot stop scoring goals against us. An unbelievable run against St. Louis City that he's having. Please stop. I'm so glad we don't have to play Vancouver anymore this year. The last event of these 30 minutes was a really great service from Chris Durkin in the 49th minute to Indiana Vasilev on the back post. A really great run. Indiana gets in unnoticed, falls to his preferred left foot, and unfortunately his finish just goes a few yards wide. You could really tell how frustrated he was, and in my opinion it kind of lit a spark under Indy, but still incredibly frustrating for the team. And after that moment is kind of when I saw the team's shoulders start to drop. It just seemed like after that they weren't going to get back into the game. Grayson, do you want to tell us about the dagger?
Mm, this one's not fun. So this first goal that I'm going to talk about occurs in the 63rd minute. It's not one of those. It's not the cleanest goal from Vancouver here, but this one's on St. Louis not clearing our lines. Ball's just bouncing around in the box, and none of our guys can get a clean foot on it to clear it. Vancouver's forwards did very well to put pressure on our guys that we couldn't get a nice clean clearance. Specifically, Tim Parker had a nice chance to boot it out, but was just put off balance by one of their strikers. So he wasn't able to clear. Ball eventually does fall to Brian Raposo, who buries it within the 6-yard box. It's just unacceptable that we have we do have our center backs back in our starting lineup, and we still can't seem to have any authority in our back line. Another super quiet game for Tim Parker and Josh Yarrow. Moving on, in the 74th minute, I believe, Fafa Pickle does score again, coming down the left side, but it was ruled out for a handball. I actually never even saw the handball. It's not in the highlights, so I'm not super sure exactly what that call was for. It felt like a very St. Louis handball call.
Yeah, think back to when Edu Lovin fouled someone in the build-up to a goal that got disallowed. Exactly the same type of situation. Vancouver just kind of falling victim to the weird VAR rules of the MLS.
Yeah, it's usually I'd feel bad for him, but not when you're up 3-1. Get over it. Finally, so yeah, after that goal had gone, my parents were at the match, and sadly, a lot of St. Louis fans did pack up and leave at this point. 75th minute, that's just disrespectful to the club. If you're a St. Louis fan and you're leaving at that point, don't come back to a game the rest of the season. It's that easy. Um, final, final goal comes in the 92nd minute. Fafa Pickle would finally get his goal. He does seem to score in extra time each time he plays against City. This one was just a right-footed shot, just clean through ball from Ryan Gauld, who had 2 assists this match, the Scottish guy. Um, really just showed a lot of class. Not a great match for St. Louis City all around. 4-1.
Yeah, as far as fans leaving early, like part of me gets it. The product that's on the field is not what you want to spend your money on currently. And also, like, you're already there. Clearly, the boys need a pick me up. And the last thing that you can do as a fan in order to pick them up is to no longer have your voice heard by no longer being there. So ride it out, stick it out. The players have to play for the 90 minutes, 90 plus 10 in this case. So I think you still need to be there, cheering loud, being loud, picking the boys up, even though we're getting our ass whooped 4-1.
Totally agreed. Really, in my opinion, unacceptable from the St. Louis City fans. It was really frustrating to see on the broadcast just City Park slowly trickling down to, less than half full. I had never seen City Park look like that, especially on an Apple TV broadcast. So that was unbelievable, really. And I hear you, Jake. It is really frustrating. It's just as frustrating as these results.
And like to add to it, St. Louis has been known for this season and 2/3 at this point as like a really, really loud, fun stadium to come play at. The commentators talk about it every broadcast that we have a home game about how they have such a great time. Nobody's ever sitting down. The crowd's still chanting, being loud. And for that to literally be on video of our fans leaving is like, I'm embarrassed, honestly, of the fans that left.
Yeah, for a new MLS franchise that prides ourselves on having one of the loudest, rowdiest, most vocal fan bases who are, up in arms, up on our feet during every match day. Uh, can't really defend ourselves on that one.
Yeah, and if you're looking for something to go right as a fan, as a spectator, something that you can control is your support. And I fully understand being pissed off and not wanting to witness your team get slaughtered, but the support for the squad has to be unending. As pissed off as I am, that is at the end of the day, I'm tuning in next week. If I had the chance to go to the game in Seattle, I would be there. If I had a chance to go to the game after that, I would be there as loud as I could. And that's not to brag. That's just how I feel our supporters have already been. They've set that standard, and that's where it needs to stay.
Do you
With
guys?
that being, oh, go ahead, Grayson. You still
I
got
was
stuff.
just gonna say if you guys don't have any more notes, that does lead into my point for this week.
Yeah, take it away.
Okay, cool. So yeah, my point for this week is what is going to make St. Louis see this season as a positive step? What can we accomplish at the end of this season to say that we have done something different? And especially with the conversation about the fans that we were just having, if if the playoffs become statistically impossible, are you as a St. Louis fan not going to show up to any more games? Or like is all you care about playoffs? If you truly care about this club, you're going to have to get used to the bad times. As a St. Louis fan, we should already know this. We can't just expect St. Louis City to be the, top of the world every year. As St. Louis fans, we know this. We've been through the ringer. We just
Actually,
have to
so I
bring it.
think it's fair to expect it, but the reality of the situation is that that's not true. It's okay to have these high expectations coming in,
Oh
but
yeah.
when they don't turn out that way, you can't just ditch the team. Don't be a
Yeah.
fair weather fan.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So a couple positive steps that we can take to improve towards the end of this season, because obviously I don't believe we're going to go on like a 7-game win streak that's going to propel us into the playoffs at this point. We just don't have the quality in our squad. However, we do have some incoming signings coming in the next match day, or not this Wednesday, but I think on Saturday they'll be available to play. So really, goal for our newcomers is to just make a positive impact. We don't need to see, automatically winning games. We don't need Shirt and Hartel to score hat tricks every game. Um, I'm saying we just need to see a little bit of change in quality moving forward, and just that Hackworth's plan is coming together. I just want to see a little bit of change in tactics, just consistency in our style of play, and yeah, like adaptability. I also agree with, we harped on Carnell a lot this season with his kind of one-sided mentality, one way to play the game. So with our new coach, if we could attempt to shuffle around, try something new so that St. Louis doesn't become stale again, just like we did at the end of last season. We had a really bad run of form right before the playoffs. If we can have a better taste in our mouth at the end of this season, then I'll take it as a positive. As long as I'm going into that summer break with any sort of good feeling in my mind, that's all that matters. I know a big thing about this, another huge piece in how St. Louis can improve is by getting rid of some of the bad apples, I'd say, in our squad to clear up some room for new people. And I think it's another way to help clear up the mentality around the squad. And I think Jacob, your point kind of goes in about that.
It does. And real quick, I'd want to answer your question that you posed. What would I consider to be a successful season given where we stand
Yeah.
right now? Um, at this point, I'm with you. I don't see us going on this miraculous run. Granted, it could happen, and also reality probably not going to happen unless our new signings are these star boys who are going to take the league by storm.
Could happen.
But it's doubtful. So for me, I think a victory. So they're first available to play this Saturday against Sporting Kansas City. 7 days later, we start Leagues Cup. For me, it would be a deep run in Leagues Cup, get out of the group stage, maybe win that first round of knockout games, and then go from there. I think a deep run in Leagues Cup with our new signings, seeing how they perform, and then let the rest of the season play out how it's going to play out would be a victory for me. Giving me hope going into next year that this new batch, this new group that we've got is going to be able to find success come, what is it, March when the season starts again. But yeah, that would be success for me. What about you, Ethan?
Yeah, I'll echo that. I think it is going to be critical to make that kind of a significant part of our season, given how poorly we've done in the actual league this year. So, given the context of our poor Champions Cup performance as well, I just feel like it's really important to get some good proof that we can play knockout football.
Oh yeah. Leagues Cup is definitely going to be fun. I honestly keep forgetting that that competition exists and that we're still in it. So yeah, hopefully St. Louis can leave a good mark on that competition. It'll be a fun time, especially with the new faces on the squad.
And with that coming up, as aforementioned, on the 20th is when our new signings are available. And it's also when the summer transfer opens up, which is basically my point extended from last week. If you watched last week's episode, shout out to you. If you did not, a quick recap. Players we have coming up on the end of their contracts slash have club options going into 2025 and then also 2026. We talked about who we would keep and resign and who we would let walk out of the door. We said to let Tim Parker walk. Some news about Sam Adeniran, which I'll cover here in a second. We said to let Josh Yaro walk, Jake Nervinsky walk, Ben Lunt walk. I was the only one to say let Njabala Blum walk. The two of them did echo, though, that sign him for next season and then use him as a big transfer piece next year. And last but not least, Anthony Markinich. I had said to walk, and I think I convinced the two of them that we've got enough depth in the team to let him walk. But those were the players that we had said to walk. Quickly, news came out earlier this week. Sam Adeniran is once again in talks with LASK for this summer transfer. And currently, his market value on transfermarket.com is set at 1.5 million. With his given run of form, and also I'm not sure how often Transfer Market updates their player values. I would gladly take 1.5 million at this point. Let him go. He doesn't want to be here anymore. He hasn't wanted to be here for months. Give me 1.5 million and good luck, Sam Adeniran. But then my question to you two, with his current run of form, what is the lowest number we would take as armchair GMs?
Well, his original offer was just for 1 million flat, I'm pretty sure. Um, I'd sell him for like 700K at the least. I think we can get a lot for Sam. I rate him really highly. I did say that earlier in the season when we had talked about keeping him or selling him originally when we got that first offer. I said keep him. I thought he was an important piece of the squad that was going to be big this season. Sadly, him and Carnell made sure that was not possible. And now he looks like a shell of his former self when he does get on the field. So I'll gladly sell him for any profit at this point. Player doesn't want to be here. When he does come on, there's no change. If Thorson looks better than you on the pitch, it's time to go.
Well, if yeah, that is saying quite a lot, especially the history that he's had here and his efforts. It is honestly disappointing to see how it's gone this season. Jacob, I'll challenge his value because on FOTMob, I see him at 900K. So I believe that's a pretty good, range for Sam Adeniran.
Mm.
Although I'll say the lowest I would take for him as an analyst as an armchair analyst would be around 500K. I think we brought him in. I think right now his total contract is worth 93,000, right, Jacob? Is that
Yeah,
the
yeah.
number you said? Yeah. So if we could 5x that, I would be really stoked. I think that would give us some good general allocation money in case we wanted to make another marquee signing, or bring in some new homegrown talent. So that's where I stand on Sam.
Yeah, with his replacements on the way, I'm more in the ballpark of Grayson, and of the three of us, I guess I'm the highest. Mine was 750, which is half of what he's worth on Transfer Market and lower than what he's worth on FOTMob. 750 is about the lowest I'd go. It's higher than the max GAM amount we could get in the MLS by 100K. So with what you said about allocating that money to other players in order to buy down their contracts, I think 750K is about where I sit. And also wish you the best. Like, you haven't had a great career here with us, so go resurge it in another country, get some more culture in your life, go tear it up somewhere else. Absolutely no hard feelings from me whatsoever.
Facts. Yeah, agreed.
We agreed. Concrete cleat Tim Parker walk. Transfer market's got him at 1.2 million. With the window opening, his performances, I think the lowest I'd take for him with his veteran leadership, and I don't think he can make much more or much less than that in the MLS as a quote senior roster spot. I'd take 1 million as the lowest.
That would be very solid. I'll take that as well.
I'd say, yeah, especially for a player of his caliber, wherever he's going to move within the MLS, most likely, we'll be getting a huge veteran center back who can instantly be captain of their new club, share his experience. And yeah, I'd honestly like to see him go back to New York and retire there or something. I think that'd be cool. But yeah, Timmy P, uh, probably around the same, um, around 750 to a million. Um, yeah, I just really just want to see us finding a quality center back. That's all that matters to me at this point. But yeah, respect to Tim. He made a huge mark on the club and on the fan base. So
Following that up, another center back set to leave at the end of the season, who's also been linked with San Diego FC, which we covered in our last video. Joshua Yarrow, whose value is listed at 450K. I think that's very accurate as like your 1B center back coming in, being serviceable. He's from the San Diego area. I don't know how deep they are into signing players in the summer transfer window. I have not done any research on like how set up they are in like MLS2 league. So whether or not we can actually get him off the books by the end of summer transfer window is not something I have done research on, but if we could, I'd take 450K.
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm feeling like he is kind of the perfect profile for your backup center back in the MLS. And that's all due respect to Josh Yarrow because truly he's a great player. Um, yeah, I think anywhere between 250 to 450K would be great money for Josh Yarrow and great for the club, mutually beneficial.
yeah, I think that numbers definitely suits him. The hardest part is just refilling all these positions after we let these people go.
But like that's the thing. I think we've got the bodies for it. Like Tim Parker and Yarrow are the two center backs listed in here, and we've got Jake Gerwood Reich coming in available on Saturday, and also we just signed Michael Wenzel. So like there's our next two up and coming center backs. Same Adeniran, we literally have two new center forwards slash cams coming in to replace him and potentially even replace Klaus, depending on how well they perform. So like
Yep.
those two positions I'm okay with. The next player we're going to talk about is Jake Nervinsky. We have the depth at center back. We also have the depth at outside back. Like Jake Nervinsky's played only a couple of matches this season. He was a liability last season. Transfer market's got him listed at 500,000. I think 250K would be cool for me.
I'll put him in a similar bucket to Josh Yarrow, just maybe 250 to 350. That sounds right.
Yeah, I don't think Nowitzki's going to be a big bag earner for St. Louis here, but any way to make room for the books, I'll let him go.
I think he would work as a good trade piece, similar to Lucas Bartlett did
Hmm.
for St. Louis City. Although we'll see how that goes.
Mm.
Next, Ethan was big on this guy's backup last week. Ben Lunt is available to leave at the end of the, or no, he's got an option for 2025. And he's listed at 200K. I think for a backup goalkeeper who has yet to keep a clean sheet in the MLS, kind of always getting scored on left and right whenever he does play. Yeah, 200K. Sure. Make me your best offer.
Yep, that's diplomatically said, Jacob.
I was going to say, didn't you you got beef with Ben Lunt on Football Manager already? So
He's trash.
so yeah, it doesn't seem like that one's going very well. 200K will do it.
The next player,
Um,
so it's Njabala Blum. He just had his worst performance in a City shirt this last weekend. I was the only one who was totally out on re-signing him next season. Again, we have the depth at CDM going forward. Ethan had said to sign him for 2025 and be a huge transfer piece for us. He is listed at $1 million on transfer market. I'm not so sure we'd be able to get rid of him with where our depth is currently as far as injuries go at CDM, if it would even be worth like just taking the money for it and then trying to sign another CDM or, excuse me, promote a CDM from City 2 just to get some minutes for us going into the potentially tumultuous rest of the season. But 1 million and then in a season, it might be worth more, might be right at the same. Um, yeah, I think 750, 500 to 750 is where I'm at with Blum on the lowest point that I would take for him.
Yeah, I when we signed Blum, I remember being like, "Wow, okay, this is an exciting player to bring over to the MLS." I think his potential was really high. He's still only 24, so I'm feeling like his ceiling could grow more depending on the situation that he's in. That's that's why I'm advocating for him to just resign for the next season. I I believe we paid almost 1.5 million for him. So if he were to walk out the door at the end of this season, the lowest I'd be willing to take for him would be 1 million. I generally hope that we could get our money back on a player like Blom, who we've seen is honestly so full of quality on the ball. He's a special player. It hasn't been his season, so I don't yeah, I think 1 million is would satisfy me for Blom right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down. I think we should re-sign him, and try to get his form back just so we can boost those numbers up because I think Blom is a player that uh can call a big money bag towards St. Louis City. He just needs to find the right run of form. Obviously, it's been a bad year for everybody over at St. Louis City, so no one's looking too great. But yeah, not a good match for him this last week. I think he is regressing a little bit, so hopefully we can turn that around. But at the moment, yeah, I don't want to lose him for anything under 1 million. So yeah, I'd rather keep him around and try to rehash things, especially if we got him for that big of a check in the first place.
I think Blum is a tough one to go over because, like Ethan said, he did have such a great season last season, and he was like one of the first people penciled into the lineup last season. And also, like, I think Durkin has performed way better this season with him. And we've seen in the last couple weeks, like, Edu's best position is that double pivot. Like, having him not so far back, I think has been part of our issue with shoring up our defense and making our midfield get cut through like butter. So between those two players, like Blom's just going to be coming off the bench unless one of them gets injured. I hope they don't, but unless they do, like Blom isn't a start piece right now, and 1 million for me would be looked at as a minus 500,000 loss, but all things considered, like he's just not going to play. And I think we pay him a pretty penny as well. So
Yeah.
like 1.5 plus his contract, like he's an expensive dude to just sit. Moving on, last, certainly not least, the left back extraordinaire that is Anthony Martinet. He is listed at 500K on Transfer Market. What is his value on FOTMob? I'm interested, Ethan.
Let me pull it up. Let me find it for us real quick. But honestly, with how young he is, how good of a season that he had last year, I do think he could develop into a pretty good MLS left back. On FOTMob, he's listed at 300K for his value. I believe we paid around 150 for Colorado. So maybe, yeah, let him go for what we paid if he left right now. But yeah, similar to like Grayson said, I'm gonna copy that answer. I think it would be good to keep him around for a year and let his value bloom.
Yeah, especially since, he didn't, you know, uh, require such a pretty penny from St. Louis to invest in the first place. We have seen sparks from him where he looks like a really awesome offensive left back. Obviously, his defensive frailties have made him lose his starting spot to Reed. At this point, I'd like to keep him around. Let him improve, let him and Reed kind of grow together, hopefully, and see where that leads us.
Yeah, I kind of do want to backtrack on what I had said last week about like get him out. I was all for Anthony Markinich leaving. But Grayson, you bring up a good point. Pressure makes diamonds. And if you've got somebody of like equal quality, if not maybe even a little bit lower than you, constantly challenging you for a position, like you're only gonna get better or you're gonna get left behind. And I think that is the type of environment that the very competitive side of Anthony Markinich needs in order to succeed. So yeah, I'm gonna backtrack on what I said last week, and I say we keep him and see if his value can't skyrocket in the next year. But that wraps up my point. I think the last one to go is Ethan, and you've got some pretty not so great things to say this week.
Yeah, normally I feel like I'm our resident optimist. I'm trying to steer us towards a positive direction and find the positives from the matches in which we've dropped points, which has been quite a few this year. As a matter of fact, we've only won 3 games on the year. Let me just double check so I know that for
I think
sure.
it's
We've won 4. We've won 4 games this season. Not as many wins as fingers on the hand this year. It's incredibly frustrating. Like, am I going to sit down and watch St. Louis City every week? Of course. Yeah, that's like a dream come true for me. But afterward, when I'm watching the post-match presser from a 4-1 loss, I'm hoping to maybe get my spirits lifted a little bit. All right. I know they're incredibly frustrated, like all of us. John Hackworth can't point to any positives in the situation, which rightfully so. There really aren't many, other than Novki Thorson managing to put together a run of scoring. Edu Lovin is questioning people's motivation in the team. Chris Durkin wondering if the squad just needs to gel a little more. It's extremely frustrating because the things that St. Louis City can control are their body language on the field, their efforts on the field. They can't necessarily control the result. They can't control the other team, but that's what they can control. And last week, what I saw against Vancouver for the second time was Indiana Vasilev and John Klein, Jose Kahima, the only players putting in any real effort after going down 3-1. We've seen this team put together almost miraculous comebacks before, and right now I don't see that dog mentality. I don't see the inspiration, the desire, the passion needed. People from the city and all over the world that know anything about St. Louis, they would want to play for St. Louis City. They would want to wear this jersey and rep it as hard as they can. They would bleed, cry, and sweat for that shirt. They would sweat and damage their bodies. And so that's what I expect to see on the field from the players is passion, belief, and determination. So right now at this extremely frustrating point in the season, the fact that our players can't even produce that on the pitch It's fucking bullshit. That's not right. That's not acceptable from St. Louis City players. And what I expect to see against Seattle is a team with a chip on their shoulder, trying to prove that they are not a garbage team. What I'm seeing from this St. Louis City team is what a lot of analysts predicted last season, and it makes me sick to my stomach. It makes me feel ill. They need to put those predictions back up on the locker and turn it around. This in I've seen that Bradley Carnell wasn't the problem. I don't think John Hackworth is the problem. For me, it's the 11 players that go out to start the game and the 5 that come in to try and repair the damage that's been done. My point this week is that I'm pissed off, but I'm still going to support. This Wednesday, when we kick off against Seattle, I'm going to be there before kickoff. And when we record an episode talking about it, I'll be here with my feelings. But it's bullshit from the players right now. And the fans deserve more from them. The team deserves more from them. The club deserves more. The city deserves more. And that's where I'm going to leave that.
Powerful stuff. Powerful stuff. I know it's got to be so frustrating to be a St. Louis player. Nothing seems to be going right. We're not getting those lucky goals we got last season. We're getting almost every bad call from a ref possible. But we can't let that get to our heads. We can't let that show in our body language and the way that we play the game. It's just sad that us as fans have so much passion and we can't do anything about it. We can't give these players our energy, but we can try. And so, yeah, just continuing our support in person and at home, no matter the outcome. That's my advice.
It's tough to say, but I feel like during this skid, I was very emotional about it in the beginning of the skid and was getting really worked up. And with the continued losses and bad performances and just lack of passion from the players on the field, I myself have come like numb to it, which is like not great for me as a fan. I should be pissed off like I was. I should still be calling for people's heads and being as passionate. And Ethan, you re-sparked it in me. You're absolutely right. It is what we have put up with for the last 2 months, basically going on to 3 months, has been bullshit from a fan perspective. We're getting dominated and nobody has an answer. We got the coach fire bump for one game and then we're right back to our old ways. Like we needed to pick up and start running, and the players blame themselves for Carnell's firing, but they're not blaming themselves for these performances. Um, they're blaming the fact that there's not a ton to play for except for playoffs, and right now playoffs aren't in the picture, so they're just giving up, which is bullshit. Like that's bullshit. Fucking
That makes me want to just exit. Go ahead and exit because it does. That's sorry, Jacob.
It's all good. These players are being paid a shit ton of money. Even the like lower player or lower salaries on our team are being paid a shit ton of money. It is your job not to be that fucking guy, but it is your job to go out there and perform. You get paid to play soccer. Go fucking win a soccer game. Do what you have to do to win a soccer game. I'm tired of the excuses that we've been given with injuries and all the other fucking bullshit yada yada that they've been given. Fuck you. Go play soccer. Win a game.
That's the goal.
Boys, I'm ready to quit talking about this game. We want to get into a kit clash and move on.
Yes, sir. Ding, ding, ding. It's kit clash time, motherfuckers. We were just chatting about it. Vancouver forgot their clothes at home, so they had to wear the home kit again. I'm not actually sure if that's what happened. But yeah, they can't afford their second kit this time. So Vancouver, we will be rating Vancouver's away kits regardless.
I'm gonna go first on this one. I don't know what they call it, but it's the navy and gold kit, which I think is a great colorway. The navy being primary, gold being the secondary. It's a great colorway. The fucking it's like the badge that they've got on the jersey sick too. It's not their regular Whitecaps badge. It's a soccer ball with a Canadian flag in the middle. That goes hard. I like this kit a lot. And also, I'm still fuck Vancouver, so I'm gonna rate this kit a 7.9 and keep it moving.
Yeah, I'd have to say this kit is pretty clean, and I am disappointed because I wish they wore this. This would have been nice to see on the pitch. Yeah, nice, clean, navy blue with a little gold accents, nice gold shoulder bars. It's super simple, and with this kit, it works very well. It's just classy. I'm gonna give this one an 8.5. Solid.
Meet you guys in the middle and give my rating an 8.2. I think everything has been said. The colorway is absolutely fire. The only little detail that I really love about this kit is the maple leaf in the crest. You
Mhm.
did mention it's different, Jacob, but that is peak Canada, especially as an American. So big love to them. And I do appreciate that it's called the 50 for their 50th anniversary
Mm.
as a club. Uh, I do think that adds a level of depth to this kit that I like. And I something rare, they have the like undershirt part that goes across the kind of neck of the shirt there. And I actually like it. It's a good detail. So I'll meet you guys in the middle, 8.2 for me. And Vancouver did do something with this, I'll admit.
Yeah. Much better than I think their home kits did actually get a pretty decent rating too. So, all around decent from the Canadians. That'll wrap up Kit Clash though. Should we look ahead to this week's midweek match on Wednesday? We'll be taking on a familiar foe, the Seattle Sounders, who are currently on a win streak. Oh, let's see how far it goes back. I'm seeing 5 games. I'm seeing 6 games. I'm seeing 8 games. 8 games undefeated. There's one draw in between that run. So it's not looking too hot. They did play some weaker sides.
Dude,
But
we are a weak side.
we are one of
Yeah.
those sides.
Yeah, when we talk about weaker sides, I think we now are welcome to include ourselves in that conversation. We
We're
have
27th in the league right now out of 30, bro.
the
But
only
they beat Chicago and New England. Oh, and Sacramento Republic's also on that list as well. I didn't notice.
A dub's a dub.
A dub is a dub.
yeah, some USL teams did knock off some MLS teams in that Open Cup. So I am not feeling good going into this game, gentlemen. We met up with Seattle earlier this season and we played to what was the result that game?
2-1.
We played to a 2-1 loss. That time
We lost?
We did.
St. Louis lost. What a surprise.
we've actually never beat Seattle
Oh,
since our inception as a club, and I really don't like the fact that we're going to Seattle. Uh, Here are some more statistics going into the game. This time for the St. Louis City side, we are ranked 22nd in goals scored per match this season. That's out of 29. We have not won an away game in our last 13 matches. I believe there are some draws included in there, like the draw against Los Angeles, a good result on the season.
it was a long time ago.
And we are also ranked 24th in goals conceded per match at 1.9. So going into this game on a team firing on all cylinders,
We're
who seems
ass. We suck, bro.
while we are still trying to, it seems like, spell our ABCs as far as putting together a soccer team goes. So, guys, I'm going to do something a bit blasphemous and I'm going to predict a loss for St. Louis City. I'm going to I'm going to go for 3-1. I really hope that we manage to score a goal in this game, although should we get blanked, I would not be surprised. Grayson, I want to hear what you think.
Yeah, so just looking back at this last time we played against Seattle, so we did it was a Kyle Hebert own goal. Jordan Morris scored, and then Thomas Totland got his first goal of the season. So I'm gonna say Thomas Totland is going to be my goal scorer. I think he gets another one here. I think we're gonna lose. I agree. I think it's gonna be the same score as last time, 2-1. But I will say, this last time we did play Seattle, this was one of those matches where St. Louis dominated statistically, but lost on a couple of fluke goals. Um, I know that the Jordan Morris goal was actually pretty clean. It was a breakaway, couldn't do anything about it, but the own goal was pretty unfortunate. But this match was one where St. Louis had 22 shots, 5 on target, and we lost the match to an opponent who had 7 shots, 1 shot on target, and we lost 2-1. Ridiculous. So yeah, hopefully, I felt great when St. Louis was at this point where we were losing games, but statistically, we were creating chances. We looked positive, attacking play. We were energetic, winning the ball back super high. If we can get a performance like that and we still lose, I'll at least feel a little bit better.
So a lot to be said for me. The last time we played Seattle, if I remember correctly, they were underperforming, and this kind of jump started them back to performing again. So I'm hoping for the reverse to happen for us. Go into Seattle like they came into St. Louis and steal points from a team who is performing well. Do I think it's going to happen though? No. I am going to put a lot of the city blame or city's lack of wins on myself because I've only ever predicted a win or a tie on this podcast. So I'm going to fade me and I'm going to predict a loss. I'm going to predict a loss. And I'm going to agree, Grayson, it's going to be 2-1. And my pick for goal scorer is I'm going to pick the other outside back, Jaden Reed.
That'd be
I
sick.
like that shout, Jacob.
That'd be
I just
sick.
realized that I forgot to pick a St. Louis City goal scorer. I'm going to take Vasilev because I do think he's been playing the only player to really give 90 minutes worth of effort, in my opinion. Just to look at Seattle squad a little bit, Raul Ruidiaz is actually injured at the moment, which works out kind of well for us. I hope he recovers well and very soon, but that is
Not
kind
that
of
soon.
yeah, not before tomorrow or Wednesday. Seattle's currently 7th in the table on 34 points. Pretty looks like they're gonna clinch a playoff spot. Yeah.
Yeah, Jordan Morris has 9 goals on the season. Rusnak is a problem. He's got 10 assists on the season with 4 goals himself. So just some players to watch. Probably picking up goals, picking up balls out of the back of our goal. So
Yeah, I think the last thing that I have to say this episode is that Edu said something that really stuck with me in the post-match press conference after Vancouver, and that was that he feels like maybe the players need a little bit of pressure. Gentlemen, here is some pressure. Go out and perform. You're coming up against a top half team. You have looked like shit all year, basically. A lot of teams are looking like beating us 2 times. Vancouver and Colorado already did it. I don't see why Seattle is going to be any different right now. I have no hope in this squad to win a game in the foreseeable future. I can really only blindly and optimistically hope that we pull out a result against Kansas City. Although, if we can't find it in us to beat our biggest rivals, then what are we doing this year, guys?
cool. Anything else to add before we hit this outro? Cool. All right. Well, you guys know the drill. Like, subscribe, comment. If you're listening to us on Spotify, go ahead and hit that follow on Spotify. Rate us 5 stars. And don't forget to tell your mother you love her. Peace. STL. STL.